We are live on the Queen Amina show. It's Thursday. Who is excited about history? I am. I am super excited today because we are going to be learning about some culture, the Yoruba culture in Nigeria. Very interesting culture. I was privileged to have met quite a few Yoruba people, the way they get married, the way they pray to God, their attires, their food, the dance, the drumming, the king, the celebration. Super exciting. We are going to be hearing from our guest today, Professor Siyan Oyeweso. I hope I'm saying that well. When he comes on, he's going to correct me. Trust me. He's a professor, and we would hear from him today. So it's our culture to share the broadcast. If you're just coming on, please share the broadcast so other people can join you and get to learn about history. A lot of us today don't care about history anymore, but it is important that we keep history alive because history is important. You know where you're from, then you'll be able to reconnect with your past and discover your identity. So, without much ado, let me bring up our professor, and my co host is with us today. Hello, everyone. And I think I
How
muted both of you. Now we're good. I can hear you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, the Queen and the
You are
Princess.
welcome. Thank you so
good
much for
evening,
your
Prof.
time. Awesome. Dr. Princess Mokolo, great to see you. We had a fantastic time on the final day of the entrepreneurship boot camp. That was super good. And we'll be looking forward to the next thing you have for us today. But today you are my host, co host, whatever we call you. So welcome.
Everything. Thank you. I'm glad to be
All right.
here.
Awesome. We will introduce our prof, and I think he would do a better job doing it himself so that people don't think I'm just adding so much more to it. So, sir, could you please introduce yourself to our audience? At least they get to know you.
Well, my name is Siyan Oyeweso, a professor of history, a former staff of the Lagos State University, Lagos State, Nigeria, a staff of Osun State University, as I speak to you, and the director of the Center for Black Culture and International Understanding, Oshogbo, Nigeria. My preoccupation at any stage of my life is history, culture, and international understanding. That's where I make my living from, and that's what I profess at all times. We want to take history to the grassroots at the very, very local level so that we can preserve our identity, our culture, our mores, our civilization. History is life. Anybody without history certainly cannot have any identity. History is
Mm,
life.
mm. Thank you so much. I won't even go further by asking why history, because you just nicely answered that. One thing that I've come to realize is history in general is not being encouraged among the young adults. Even the older people, we tend to just quickly forget history because it's not interesting. I think a good place to start is why is it that history is not an interesting and intriguing thing and no longer in vogue for both adults and the young people today?
Incidentally, history is a very interesting subject. It is always a very topical subject. When
Mhm.
people are looking for something in life, when they aspire to the next level, when they want to become kings of their societies, when they want to become a man of substance in society, they look for history because history is the anchor, it is the platform that will take them there. But the moment they get to the top, the tendency for them is to forget where they came from, is to forget about their past, and they get rooted in the present. And in the present, the society has become increasingly materialistic, that the
Hmm.
only thing that is important is the need to survive, to acquire wealth, not only for themselves, but for their own families and for generations yet unborn. History is very, very essential to anybody who is interested in his today and tomorrow. It is the compass. Any human being must treat history the way the mariner treat the compass. You must have it as a signpost at any point in time, and you must never allow it to be out of your sight. When people say they don't learn from history, we tell them in Yoruba culture that only an ego or an omugo that will say that history is useless. Properly interpreted, it is not only a stupid person, but a thoroughly stupid person who make foolishness his constant drink that will deride history and that history has no use. History is very central to human life, right from the time you sleep, the time you wake up, your whole identity, from the beginning, from your cradle to your adult life and to grave. History is the umbilical cord of life and of society. So if they fail to learn from history, they regret it. Let me give you a very simplistic explanation. In the Holy Bible, you have the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, that a man should be faithful, a society should be orderly, people should live under law and order. When they don't, that particular generation, when they didn't live under law and order, they perished.
Hmm.
That society perished. Now, the fear of AIDS, the help of coronavirus, COVID 19, is the beginning of wisdom. We have learned from the past that in 1918, during the First World War, we had the pandemic. We have the first outbreak and the second outbreak. So anybody who claim not to have an understanding of the past or who will not learn from the past certainly is at his own peril. So history is very central to life. For anything that we want to do, we must take history as our starting point and as our middle course and as the central point in our lives.
Wow. Would you now say, from just what you explained, that because of lack of history and connection to the past, would you agree that it is one of the major cause of misidentification of oneself today that is causing a lot of chaos amongst relationship, amongst countries, and all of that?
Let me put it this way. Now, every family, history starts from the family level.
Mhm.
If your child misbehave outside the home,
Hmm.
is your ambassador. If he talks rudely to the elder, is representing you.
Hmm.
If he does not know how to handle fork and knife in a social gathering,
Mhm.
if he makes a lot of noise driving in the streets, you know, ilé làwò ká tó sọmọ lórúkọ. It is the family background that is projected by individuals outside the home.
Hmm.
So, in terms of culture, in terms of upbringing, it starts from the family. The typical Yoruba society of the old is that a child is brought up not just by his immediate family or the
Hmm.
extended family, but by that society. If a child misbehaves, he can be disciplined by the neighbors and will be sent back to the parents that look, this child is not your son. He has misbehaved. But today, if you try it, you beat somebody else's son and daughter, you will
Hmm.
find yourself in Ministry of Social Welfare or any other where justice will be taken to you. that what right have you? So the family
That is
unit
true.
is very, very important in the upbringing, in our socialization, in the historical process of an individual. If we get the family value right from the beginning, we have less problem in the society. If we teach our children the values of hard work, your last episode was on entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
As a young person, I was asked a question. Kò sí iṣẹ́ tó le tó iṣẹ́ olè. There is no job that's as difficult as armed robbery.
Hmm.
My teacher now asked me, is armed robbery a profession? By the time we are growing up, we know that armed robbery was not a profession. It is a negation. It is an act of social deviance. It is
Mm.
abnormal. If you want to learn carpentry, bricklaying, if you want to be a mason, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a medical doctor or a nurse, these are the paths they charted for us. But for somebody to now decide, I want to be a bandit, an armed robber, it means right from the beginning of his life, the parent did not properly school him. Difference between occupation, profession, and banditry and thievery. So we must, right from the beginning, teach our children the core values of hard work, of discipline, of integrity in public life. They taught us ẹni tó jalè lẹ́ẹ̀kan tó bá dàrán borí aṣọ olè ló dàbora. If a person put on a sick garment and is an armed robber for once, he is forever a robber, a rogue for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And
Yes.
they tell us that if one hand touches the oil, it soils the others.
Yes.
Aláṣọ àlà kì í délé kó ṣọ̀rẹ́. The man who is put on a white cloth will not be friendly with people who sell palm oil because you know that you can be stained. So,
Wow.
integrity in public life, decency, that you must not be seen like Caesar's wife, that you must not only be seen by God, but you must also be seen by men who can attest to you that, yes, this is a good man. If you move it from the family level across the ladder in life, we have less problem in society. If your son or daughter should bring something from outside that you did not buy for him or her, if or she keeps late nights in Nigeria of the past, when the network news is on, NTA news by 9 o'clock, and you are in somebody else's house, you know you have overstayed your welcome. It is the
Hmm.
family that stays together at that time. And by the time it is 7, Jakumọ kì í rìn lọ́sàn-án, ẹni abíire kì í rìn lóru. You are not supposed to work in the night. You're supposed to be with other members of the family. They do the family counting. They count the eggs. If you are not there, then you must be a nocturnal character. And being a nocturnal character is bad in Yoruba culture. So let me rest the case there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Princess. Please come in. Don't let me keep going.
I'm just amazed at all the idioms and all the wise sayings. Oh my goodness, that is so rich.
Amazing, yes. I love the proverb. He said, if a man is wearing a white garment, he will not be very friendly with someone selling palm oil. It is so true in our days today that a lot of people that are wearing the white garment, quote unquote, forgot that even that person selling the palm oil could one day put on a white garment too. But if you don't carry yourself well, how will that person be interested in wearing that white garment that you're wearing? So we bring it in relation to history. How can we, the older generation, begin to make history more attractive? Maybe package it in a way that it would begin to interest these young people so that they begin to want to, look at a career path in history. Because all children grow up today, they want to either be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. And now the new norm, the tech world with robotic and all of those stuff coming up, history will completely be lost. So how can we, the generation, the older generation, begin to help package history to look attractive for these young people to want to go into
Well,
learning about their history?
making history attractive start from the family and
Mm.
the local governments and the state government, the
Mhm.
federal. In terms of policy making and policy implementation, if you have if you have grown up children and your son or daughter stretches his or her hand in the morning, you must correct that person that you don't stretch your hand to your father, your mother, or anybody that is a day older than you. My own culture. You must learn that culture of respect. You must learn how to prostrate. You must learn how to kneel down. You must learn how to speak the language. People today refer to Yoruba language as vernacular. No, it is not the vernacular. It is our indigenous language. It is a language we are taught right from birth, right from cradle. So if you forget your language, it's bad. A language dies when the last speaker dies. And that's why people talk today about language endangerment and language extinction. Many languages are going to extinction today because that language is not spoken. English language is not my language. It is the language of the colonizer. It is a language that we have learned to speak. That the mere fact that I speak English language today does not mean that I am not friends in Yoruba language because I grew up in the proper Yoruba tradition. My teachers of culture and language were teachers I never met. I met them in books. J.F. Odunjo of blessed memory produced the book Ìwé Aláwìyé apá kìíní, apá kejì, apá kẹta, apá kẹrin, apá karùn-ún, and apá kẹfà. The six-volume edition by J.F. Odunjo of blessed memory introduced us to Yoruba word from primary one to primary six. Do we
Wow.
still practice that today?
No.
From that, from those books, I was taught the value. Kí ni wọ́n fò lè ṣe láyé tí mo wá? Kí ni wọ́n fò lè ṣe láyé tí mo wá? Ayé tí mo wá kàkà kí n jalè, má kúkú dẹrú. Kí ni wọ́n fò lè ṣe láyé tí mo wá? Ayé ẹ má fò lè ṣẹgbẹ́ tí a ní. Ayé ẹ má fò lè ṣẹgbẹ́ tí a ní. And so on. That what will I do with armed robbery or all sorts of nefarious activities in my life? This life, I would rather prefer to be a slave than to be an armed robber. Kàkà kí n bí ẹgbàá ọ̀bùn, máa kúkú bí ọ̀kan ṣoṣo ọ̀gá, máa rí ohun rárá rí lójú, máa rí ohun gbéraga. That instead of giving birth to a multitude of useless children, even if I have one child that is responsible and can be the champion of the family, it is enough for me. Ọmọ bẹ̀rẹ̀, òṣì bẹ̀rẹ̀. If you have so many children and you cannot take care of them, the implication is that they will soil the family name, soil the family reputation. So once again, the whole process of making history attractive begins from the family. Now, the nature of our curricula for history, we need to redefine it. Today is an IT world. Let us be able to package our history in simple formats, online formats, that if
Mm.
I want to teach Yoruba history of Ile-Ife, it will be history that will be devoid of controversy. History that will promote the history of Ile-Ife as the source of Yoruba civilization, the cradle of Yoruba civilization, where the work of civilization, Ife, Udaye, níbi ojúmọ́ tí wọ́n wá, Ife, the land of the ancients, where the work of civilization was first begun. Properly speaking, our identity as Yoruba today In Nigeria, in African diaspora, other parts of the world was crystallized at Ilefe. We all regard Oduduwa as our ancestor. It does
Mm.
not mean that there are not autochthonous communities in Ilefe before Oduduwa. If we call ourselves children of Oduduwa, it means the generation born by Oduduwa and after Oduduwa. These are the
Mm.
people we can refer to as Yoruba. We need to preserve our language because language itself is the source of history. I cannot be interviewing people about my culture in Chinese language, in French language, in Idoma language. I
Yes,
will
sir.
rather interrogate my history in Yoruba language because that is
Mm.
the language of the people. So we now know that, look, that language itself must be preserved. Moving from that, the Yoruba people have religion. It is called Ifa belief system.
Mhm.
It is the whole corpus of knowledge about the Yoruba past, today, and tomorrow. If you are having any challenge or problems about life, and you consult the Ifa divination as it should be consulted, they will tell you the source and they will tell you the solution. We have 16 corpus of Odu in all 256 for students of society who want to know, who want to understand the real knowledge about the Yoruba. Ifa is there. Everybody should be a student of Ifa in Yoruba. Forget that I am a Muslim. I am a non-denominational Muslim, a non-denominational Christian, a non-denominational other faith. I'm a core Yoruba person who believes in my source. If a person has problem, consult Ifa, and Ifa will tell you this is the source. And you are not going to be the first person that had this problem. If you look and you probe into it, they will tell you the solution that this is the life. And we have people like Bascom who have worked extensively on IFA, Professor Wande Abimbola on IFA, Ifayemi Elebugbon who has worked extensively. These are our compass, these are our guardians. We regard Orunmila as the guardian priest of Ifa Eleripin, that the man who I believe system who pioneered Ifa divination was Orunmila. And if you study that system very well, your road will be very, very smooth in life.
Mm.
Our
Wow.
new religions that we call universal religions have
Mhm.
become largely intolerant,
Mm.
whether it's Christianity or Islam, they are largely doctrinal. But the it was the indigenous religion that they made, and it accepted them. In Islam today, there is Udrimale. In other cultures, whether it's Ewe culture, whether it's Igbo culture, whether it was the Benin culture, you find Ifa system already ingrained right there. So why should people deny their past? Ayé la bá fá, ayé la bá mọ̀le, ọ̀sán ganrin ganrin, ìgbàgbọ́ wọlé. We met Ifa in the world. We met Islam in the world.
Mhm.
Christianity came later. Properly interpreted that Ifa is the most ancient, is the autochthonous, most autochthonous of all these religions. Why not be a religiously tolerant person if Ifa accepted Islam and accepted Christianity? Why should the Christians and the Muslim, Maronites, and all sort of now be discriminating against indigenous religious belief of the people? So we must be able to teach our history, write our history in a very simplistic manner, highly readable. That if I want to teach you about Oshun Oshobo today, which is a global festival, it will start in Nigeria on August 14 in Oshun State. And I want to write about the history of Oshun Oshobo. It is about the past, the historical origin of the development of Osogbo, the capital city of Osun State. I must be able to tell you the significance of Aruba and the significance of that ceremony to the Ataja of Osogbo and the people. In spite of COVID, it is compulsory for the Ataja of Osogbo to propitiate the Osun goddess because he is Atewo Breja, a god, the representative of the goddess of Osun. So that Osogbo people will be well, they will prosper, and they will reach greater height. The society will be peaceful. It's a global festival. If I want to teach about Shango today, I will be able to say, look, Shango is one of the ancient Yoruba gods. In Oyo, in particular, and where this interview is taking place, Ede, Shango Alaafin. There are two Shangos in Yoruba land today. Shango Alaafin and Shango Timi. The owner of the stool of the Alaafin is Shango. The owner of the stool of Timi is Shango. And when you look at Oyo today and you look at Ede, Ede is a complete replica of Oyo Town and all its institutions. So
Mm.
the historical connection between Oyo and Ede, you see it in Shango manifesting. And the link with Bahia today, the state of Bahia in Brazil, from Oyo Yoruba, that Shango was became a transatlantic personality. So if you travel to the state of Bahia today, in Brazil, you will find the next door neighbor and who are devotees of Shango, who
Yeah.
are devotees of Oya, who are devotees of Orisha. And in fact, they even practice Shango worship, Oya worship, Oshun worship more than those of us in Nigeria who have embraced continental religions today. So we must be able to show the nexus. And when people see that this is my past, if you have read Alex Ali, The Roots, the American novelist and great man, he was able to trace his origins back to the Senegambia region. Many blacks today are in diaspora through the transatlantic slave trade, some through the trans-Saharan trade. So if you look at the Latin America today, if you look at Cuba, if you look at Jamaica, you will see the nexus, the connecting road between Nigeria, Africa, and the outer world. It was a phase, an episode in African history, or some people will refer to it as landmark or milestone. But it took centuries for that kind of intercontinental migration to take place and to have had profound impact on those cultures. American culture today has been significantly affected, influenced by the black culture. It is difficult to take a look at America as a white civilization. America itself recognizes that it is the melting pot of culture. It is God's own country where all cultures have crystallized, and
Mhm.
each person try as much as possible to protect its identity.
Wow. That's
Wow.
some deep history.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Talking about identity, Prof, what will be your counsel to families, especially diasporan families whose kids have been kids were born here, raised here? How do we as parents help to preserve that identity, and how do we communicate? What's the best way for us to teach them the culture, teach them the history, preserve the identity of where we come from?
Well, that issue very, very, very strong. Because if you don't protect your identity, some others will define your identity for you.
Mm-hmm.
We all
Mm-hmm.
agree today that Black lives matters. It is because of that collective identity we know that racism is a fact of life, whether we like it or not. In
Mm-hmm.
spite of the several constitutional provisions that have been there, you will realize that some people will still find it difficult to accept you for what you are, who you are. They will relate with you based on the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
The history of the civil rights movement must be taught to, must be domesticated in our families. Let's see how we started from separate but equal. We are separate but equal. Let's take a look at the judgment of Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, 1954. Let's see the history of the bus ride. All those great heroes and heroines who protected civil rights movement, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X. And then one important thing that we must realize is that blacks must learn to stay away from crime. Blacks must learn to stay away from embarrassing situations. They must learn the value of hard work. They must learn to excel. And the best way to excel, if your counterpart in other culture works for 4 hours, please work for 6 hours so that you can add distancing. You can show that regardless of the color of the skin, regardless of the nature of our eyes, our height or complexion or melanin, that we are cerebral, we are brilliant, we are productive, we can achieve, we can be exceptional. In all situations, let's teach our children how to be exceptional in whatever things that they are doing. Polite, courtesy, courtesy, etiquette, very, very important. That the less of the foreign culture that we invite, the better for us. And at any point in time, let us know and teach them that charity begins at home. The book they read, very important. This is the age of social media. How you are going to curtail the activities of your children on social media, the site they should go to, where they should not go to, the teachers they should have, the online teachers they should not have. We must create time for our children. Let's create time for families. Because if we don't keep very close watch eyes on children, they have other teachers outside there who will take over our
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. Some of the things that I have personally experienced and seen is when you go to some homes, the parents are the ones that contribute to saying the children should not speak what is called vernacular, which is not supposed to be even called vernacular, according to Professor. I love the way he says is indigenous language. That's what it should be called. So, what do you do in cases like that when the parents are the ones saying the children should not speak the indigenous languages at home? Um, the Indian man comes to Canada, for example. The first language at home is India. They speak Hindu at home. When the child goes to school, is when the child begins to learn English. Yeah, but for us Africans in general, we have been taught that the English language is superior to our indigenous language. How can we turn around that table?
Well, again, right from the beginning, it depends on how each person find himself in diaspora. If you are a professional and you find yourself in diaspora, certainly your attitude will be different. You you know that yes, from your background in Nigeria, you will most likely teach your children the correct values. Where you will have some people who are undocumented Nigerians in the United States and other parts of the world. It's the challenge goes to that particular set of people who find themselves maybe compulsory migration, indirect migration, or any form of migration that their data have not been really captured. We need to work on that particular group. We are talking about the core professionals. Professional with solid background will not deny his own identity. The nature of the themes that we expose our children to also very, very important. Nollywood has done very well for Africa culture in diaspora. But there are
Mm-hmm.
some aspects of Nollywood too that have really projected Africans in the very, very negative way.
That light.
We need to develop cartoons, African cartoons in our own language, not in the
Yes.
language of, because that is to find the children, Tom and Jerry, at any point in time, they want to get hooked onto it. How can we now package our own cartoon in our own language? The normal folk tales of the past, eh? Madam Nkem of the old NTA television, Tales by
Mm,
Moonlight. How can
yes.
we get it back to
Zebediah.
our Zebediah, alias 440, during
Yeah.
glory? In our own local community.
Jagede
So,
Shokoya.
Yagadesho Koya, so, and Chief, all the rest of them.
Chief, yeah.
So, so we need to go back to the past, to the basic,
Mm,
and repackage all this for our children and for even our adults in
yes, sir.
diaspora. Many
Yes.
people are not aware today of the glorious path that we have reached. Globalization, new world order are taking over everything. In some families today, the only thing they watch is Z Watch. I have not seen how we can now bring back the novels of Dio Fagunwa, Aditi Olodumare, Òkè Láńgbòdo, Ìrìnkèrindò Onígbó Elégbèje, and most of these historic novels that portray the real Yoruba past or even the fictional past in a way that this can be entertaining to the Yoruba. BBC started a Yoruba program recently, BBC Yoruba, and
Wow.
it's totally dedicated to Yoruba proverbs. When you now watch that program, it is possible for us to replicate it in many of our platforms so that we can take this language also to people who have forgotten about the past and they are busy with day-to-day living, day-to-day existence.
Wow. There is something I found out, and I want you to just maybe throw some more light on it on during my research. It says the Yoruba culture is highly based around folk tales and philosophies. How true is that?
Well, Yoruba culture is based largely on Yoruba philosophy, and folk tales constitute just a micro aspect of Yoruba philosophy of life. When you look at Yoruba life, it is about their entire worldview.
Hmm.
Right from the time you are born, it is the society that determine the name you are given you are given at birth. The objects for naming ceremony are symbolic of the life they want you to live. If a child is born today, the eldest members of the family will come around. They will ask for the name from the eldest. Kí ni orúkọ tí ẹ fẹ́ kí ọmọ yìí jẹ́? They bring water, they bring honey, they bring salt, they bring alligator pepper, they bring kola nut, àádùn. all sorts of things. Water symbolizes life.
Mm.
That this life, water, nobody can fight water because omi la máa bù mu, omi la máa bù wẹ̀ at any point in time. A kì í bomi kó lójú, a kì í bomi kó lámì. So that this is the life. Alligator people has many seeds to tell you that your life will be productive. You will create
Fruitful.
and as many as this. Honey, your life will be very, very sweet. Salt, your life will be very, very useful because in whatever we do in life, any soup, stew that we want to, we must put salt right there. So the name too also very symbolic. If a person is a twins, they call him Taiwo, Kainde, To Ayewo, Akende Bedmo. If you are born during a journey, the name is Abiona. If you are from the family of Ogun worshippers, Ogundele, Ogundiran. If you are from Oya family, Oya Shemilore, Oya Tumbi, Oya Fumbi, Oya Lere, and so on and so forth. So the name a person is, if a person is Abiku and he has come several times, be born to die, they will call that name Okumo, Makumo, Ikutite, Malomo, Ayelagbe, Osoko, and so on and so forth. Yetunde, Babatunde. So the name is symbolic and highly philosophical. Even in death, the Yoruba people are highly philosophical. If a person of substance die in society, they call something adie irano, appeasement. It's for appeasement, the fowl for appeasement. And they will also tell you that adie irana kì í ṣe ohun àjẹgbé. Adie irana is something you also pay back. You may eat that of a person who is deceased. They will also eat yours later on. In death, people believe in Yoruba culture that death is not an happenstance. It
Mm.
is something that comes from God. That
Mm.
ewé kan kì í jábọ́ lórí igi tọ́lọ́run bá mọ̀ sí. That is impossible for any leaf to fall from the tree without knowledge of God.
God.
So Yoruba are very, very philosophical people, and they use history to teach lessons of life. Uh, when a person says when a person says that history is useless, they will tell that person that ẹnu àgbà kì í rùn. If an elderly person should use his mouth to cut kola nut and he gives you may not tell. But if he tells you words of wisdom, it's in your own interest to take it. Bọ́mọdé bá láṣọ bí àgbà, kò lè lákìísà bí àgbà. If a child prides himself, if a young man prides himself of having as many rags or as many clothes as an elderly fellow, he cannot have as many rags. Properly speaking, they are not talking about rags. They are talking about first-hand experience
Wisdom.
of life. If a person is 18 and is dealing with somebody who is 52, the experience that that man has garnered will teach you this is Igori or Nori, this is the road, this is the bush. If you don't follow the good wisdom, you are on your own. They also tell you, ìgbà kì í tán lọ bí òréré. Life is not a straight path. So when
Mm.
the world is enjoying, when you are making money, you are on top of the world, and you believe that yes, you have made it, they warn you. Ayé kì í tán lọ bí ayé kì í tán lọ bí ọ̀pá àbọ̀n. That Young man, come and learn from history and be wise. Take a look at the palm tree, the one that is very tall and stately, and the one that is of the short frame. When the palm tree is very young, it will boast and pride itself and say, Muduro Papa, Muduro Papa, I stand compact and erect. The longer one, the older one that is taller, and you have the palm tree, palm leaves dropping. You have green, you have half green, you have brown. He will now be telling you, Oshewa Berry, Oshewa Berry. We once boasted like that. So
Ah,
when a young man believes that he's agile, active, he can move mountain, they will ask him, please come and learn from history and have knowledge and wisdom. We once boasted like that. So the Yoruba word meaning about life is highly philosophical, highly condensed. And we always, at every point in time, let Yoruba philosophy of life guide your steps in whatever you are doing. Even in marriage, if a person wants to marry, you don't just bring somebody from anywhere and say, I'm in love. You know, the new tradition now, you find some people kneeling down, putting ring, and they say, I'm in love. That is not the Yoruba approach to love and to marriage. They will ask you, Eye Woloshu, which bird gave birth to this? They tend to
hmm.
look at family background. First, you go through Alarino. Alarino is intermediary who will now do the prospecting, background information about this lady, the families, and it will be the messenger, the go between. After a particular stage, the if the relationship is gradually picking up, Bokoba Buju Ayatan, Alarino, Ayeba, if the new if the suitors are now on talking time, the Alarino must take the back stage. We have processes of marriage. There's a stage that is called Ishegirile Kono. Ishegirile Kono, that is when you don't have the courage to go to the parents of the daughter. You can't go to the house. You just be parading around the corner, and you now maybe you blow the whistle, and your hand is scratching the wall, and you find the stones on the wall coming down gradually. The day you want to marry, you will pay owo shegili kana. If you are too fast, you will pay owo baalu. That is this phase so is attire. So in essence, you do family investigation, and in the old, they expect your wife to be virtuous. They expect the man not to be a firinidioke, alokolonkibe. Firinidioke means the clever Alex, this clever thief. You will not see him as a thief. He will look smart, very clean, but the moment he disappears, something in that house has disappeared. So Oke means word, Firinidioke. So the two families, it when marriage takes place in Yoruba land, it is not between individuals. It is a union of the families.
Yes.
Hmm.
Accept that these two people are the latest additions to the two
Hmm.
families.
Mm.
So the Yoruba philosophy of life, very rich, very robust, and highly philosophical, right from cradle and till death.
Hmm. Now, is that
You
what?
raised
Right. Go
Okay,
ahead.
you raised, I mean, a very interesting point when you talk about cradle to death. And I was just going to ask, what's the philosophy on discipline? You know, from that cradle as we're raising the kids, what are the strong points in the Yoruba culture about discipline?
Well, the Yoruba society of the old I'm not talking about the contemporary Yoruba society, which
Mhm.
is like any other society today.
Today.
Mm-hmm.
Highly disciplined with strong moral values,
Fabulous.
ethical values. You cannot convert somebody else's property. You cannot beg your neighbor for another thing. You
Mm.
cannot take what does not belong to you.
Mm.
If you are the type when visitors are around, you are the child that when the visitors are around and you move around visitor and you want to eat, they have a way of looking at you embarrassingly that you are going to stagger away from that place. You
Wow.
learn not to collect gifts even from visitors. If you do, you are in trouble.
Mm.
Go to school, they teach you punctuality. Punctuality, they say, is the soul of business. As a
Mm.
pupil, I was the timekeeper. I will mark the register. I must get to school 7:45. The assembly, I'll be the first to line up so that other people will line up behind me.
Ah,
So it was a highly disciplined age, highly disciplined society. We were seen as the ambassadors of our different families.
wow.
We dare not misbehave. The fear of the teacher at that point in
The
time,
beginning of the wisdom.
when you see the old teacher, he has his cane by his side,
Yeah.
white short, white shirt, very clean
Clean.
and very clean. Not the
Yeah.
one that would dress in
They
Baba
call it
Reggae.
abused here today.
So, so we had excellent upbringing, excellent
Yes, sir.
discipline.
Yes, sir.
We want to say that it can be recreated. Take care of the teachers. If you take care of the teachers in terms of welfare, in terms of their, you don't deny them of their existence. Teachers'
Nice.
reward should not be in heaven. The teachers' reward should be on earth right now. If teachers are properly treated, they will take care of your children and wards in schools because
Mhm.
we all buy from the same market. They
Mhm.
also have a right to dignified existence. But today, teachers are treated as Libyan slaves. If you want to get it right, please let's go back.
To the
Don't
drawing
abandon
board.
your children to teachers. You must also have feedback. You must go back and check on your walls, your children regularly. The teachers in schools are not nannies. They are just local parents. They just serve as stopgap. But some parents believe that the moment they pay money, pay their school fees, their children's school fees, the rest is history. They don't bother to even check class assignments, supervision. What did you do in school today? To create 1 hour or 2 hour extra time for the young kids. For all for
Thank you.
discipline to
Thank you so much, Prof. That is awesome. I hope that our parents are hearing the fact that discipline is not something that is foreign. It's being a part of our culture, and that's how we've been successful over the years. Queen, I know you have questions, but this is so interesting. Can I ask him one more?
Absolutely.
So this is
We
going
have
to be a
7 minutes more.
okay, so it's like a triple barrel. I'm just going to put them all together. I've always been interested in the role or the way that the Yoruba culture expresses curses, curses, prayers, incantation. There's such a rich heritage in of expression of these three things. Can you talk to us about curses, prayers, incantations?
Before
now.
before you before you say that, sir, I'll tell you something really funny. There was a friend of mine. She's Yoruba, and she had a problem with another friend of hers. And when she called me, she said, "Queen, at the time I get to her, I will not be talking to her in English because he will not be strong enough. she, she wants to respond to her in
You see,
Yoruba language, and I didn't understand why.
you see,
Because
Yeah,
so
it's
what?
we
powerful.
speak we speak Yoruba at various levels. There is
Wow.
unquote psychedelic Yoruba. There
Ah,
is there is the dense Yoruba, original Yoruba that we call Ijile.
wow.
We call it Ijile.
Prof, also
If
add the
if
greetings. Sorry, Prof, when you're
now
talking about
I
them,
will
add
start
the
from the greetings.
greetings. The
Yes,
greetings, yes.
the Yoruba has greetings for
For
everything.
everything. Yes.
For everything about Yoruba life, a Yoruba man is a very courteous, very polite individual. He has greetings for everything.
Every
Ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán o, ẹ kú ìrọ̀lẹ́ o, ẹ kú
hello,
ìyálẹ̀ta o,
Eku
ẹ
Yaku,
káalẹ́ o,
Eku
ẹ
Joko,
kú òjúrò o,
Eku
ẹ kú
everything,
bẹ̀rẹ̀ o, ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́
Eku
ń bẹ̀ yẹn o,
sleeping, Eku,
ẹ kú ọjọ́ mẹ́ta o, ẹ kú láíláí o. Ah,
Eku
so
laughing.
so
Eku
ẹkú
program,
that
Eku
ẹkú yẹn
broadcast.
in when Yoruba migrated outside the shore of Nigeria, they are
Interesting.
now referred to as Aku. That is the Aku of Sierra Leone. You see, that is the origin of referring to Yoruba as Aku, because you find that the word Eku is repeated in, and is a very polite. Yoruba man will not say oh. He will give you a sign of respect. If you're talking to a younger person, you say Iwo. If you are talking to an elderly fellow, Eni. So in greetings, they perfected the art of Epele o, Eku duro, Eku bere o, Eku yaleta o, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So that is it. The Yoruba people are also very, very, very prayerful. Very prayerful.
Sweet
When
prayers.
when a Yoruba man wakes up in the morning, he will first and foremost consult his ancestors. Jíjí ni mo jí lénìí o, mo jí ire o. Gbogbo ọ̀nà mi tí mo bá ń rìn pé kó yọrí sí rere o. Àdáwọ́lé mi kó yọrí sí rere. Gbogbo bí mo ti ń rìn kí n bá láàánú pàdé, kí n má rí ẹlẹ́gàn, kí n má rẹ́lẹ́ta o. Gbogbo ọmọ aráyé kó yọ́nú sí mi o. Orí mi gbà mí o. Adélébáre, àrìnàkóre, àfòyá ibi o. So he does that prayer for himself.
Prof, please translate. That sounds really interesting.
Now,
Translate.
my head, that is in Igbo language, is chi. That is, as I'm waking up today, I'm waking up with good health. Olodumare, I thank you for the gift of life. I thank you that I can stretch my limbs. I can stretch my hands. Mo gbé
Wow.
apá, ó ṣe é gbé. Mo gbé ẹsẹ̀, ó ṣe é gbé. Mo dúpẹ́ o. God, I know that the only thing that you eat, unquote, is open thanksgiving. I'm starting my prayer with thanksgiving to you. As I'm
Wow.
proceeding out today, let my day be highly productive. Let me meet my destiny helpers. Let my
Hallelujah.
work be a very productive one. I do
Wow.
not want any trouble with anybody. Please don't let trouble look for me.
Look for me.
And
Man.
as I'm leaving this house, I want to go safely and return safely. Àmì o, àṣẹ.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's the Yoruba prayer.
The
Now,
curses.
if you now
Dr.
offend a
Princess,
Yoruba person,
you're so interested in that. I hope you're
The
not going to
curses.
tell me.
Oh my God.
no,
Don't
no,
cross a Yoruba person.
no, no. The man will tell you, wípé ṣé o fẹ́ gbà lódidi àbí láàbọ̀? Do you want to take it full or half measure? So that if I want to, ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wá ìpè. You know, èpè means curse, and there are curses in different categories. That's what is called the royal curse. Royal curse is the one that is pronounced by the monarch. The royal curse is the one that whatever you do in life, don't be insubordinate to your kabiyesi o.
Hmm.
So Kabiyesi is not an ordinary being. He is the representative of God and the Orisha. He has all the powers of the principalities. It's
Hmm.
human, but it's beyond the human.
Hmm.
In each palace in Yoruba land, there is a place that is called Awowo, Orisha, Awowo. Ẹni tó bá fojú dọba, Awowo awo. In each palace in Yoruba land, there is a place that is Awowo. If the king should enter that place and pronounce a curse on a particular person, that would be his portion. It is
Ha.
the portion. So our kings should be respected at all times because they have the power of the God, of the tongue that has been given to them. In ordinary day-to-day life, there are people that you should not just misbehave to
Hmm.
because every day they move out of their house, they have afose. Afose is something that the moment they pronounce it, it's exactly the way it should happen. So don't be rude to others. Don't covet somebody else's property. What does not belong to you? Don't take it. Don't provoke somebody to the level of anger that will cause you.
Hmm.
Èpè kì í jà lóòjọ́. The cause may not materialize in a day, but it
Yeah.
is when it's you are reaping the fruit of that cause,
Hmm.
then it may take years. And when you now consult, they will now say, ṣé o ti gbàgbé ni? You've forgotten that at
Hmm.
so point in time, you did this today. Go and back to the source and go and propitiate, go and beg. So the normal cause also exists for somebody that is just a very ordinary human being. It can pronounce curse on you. It may not, but it may, because we live in the spirit world too.
Yes.
As and that is why we want Yoruba people never to curse, but to pray and to be ceaseless in prayer. Because at the time you curse, you are both physical and spiritual. It may be the period the spiritual is stronger, and they will just say, Amen. And
Hmm.
the trouble of that person begins. So that is in terms of cause. But in terms of incantation, only few people today in Yoruba land can recite incantation,
And
since
we
many people cannot even speak the Yoruba language again. But you see, what you call incantation, it is the archaic form of Yoruba that has been preserved over a period of time. Èyí tá a bá wí fọ́gbọ́ lọ́gbọ́ gbà, èyí tá a wí fọ́gbà lọ́gbọ́ gbà, kọ́ṣẹ́kọ́ṣẹ́ ní tìlákọ̀ṣẹ́, bọ̀lọ̀bọ̀lọ̀ lẹ́nu ìgbín yọ. Let me now use it. Èyí tá a bá wí fún ọgbọ́, the one that will tell ọgbọ́ is the one that ọgbọ́ will hear. Èyí tá a bá wí fún ọgbà, the one we tell ọgbà is the one that ọgbà will accept.
Hmm.
Kọ́ṣẹ́kọ́ṣẹ́ ní tìlákọ̀ṣẹ́. You see, ìlákọ̀ is a form of snail. Bọ̀lọ̀bọ̀lọ̀ ní ẹnu ìgbín yọ. You see, when you want to see the snail, you know that it has silky and this and that. You need limestone to even clear it. So the person is using comparative symbols to evoke a particular message that can be very, very direct and very effective. It
Hmm.
may not be. It may not be. Because if the person, like I'm saying it now, is what I read, I'm not part of the initiates into that particular culture.
country.
So what I say, if I'm annoyed, it's just shakara. But some other people may not be shakara, may be authentic
Real
and direct and very, very potent
deadly.
because
Wow.
they have other things they will add to it. It is not just in Yoruba culture, it is in every very culture. The
I
power of
agree.
the tongue. The power of the tongue. Very, very effective for people who know how to use the power,
Hmm.
regardless of it.
Even
That is what it is.
The Bible talks about that. Say the power of life and death is in your tongue. So, and then
Right.
it says the fruit of your words is what you eat. So
Mm.
it's very, we need to be very careful. Well, thank you so much, sir, for your time today. I know we've gone past our 1 hour, but there's so much more questions about the Yoruba culture that we cannot finish today. We would plead that maybe one of these days again down the road, you would return on the show so that we
No
can finish it. So at this point, I would say Eku talking and Eku
problem.
coming to the show.
And a cool
So
broadcast and a cool,
I
show.
also extend this echo to our queen, our Edo and Delta queen,
Thank
and
you.
to our doctor and our princess. You know,
Yes.
it's very
A
rare
cool,
to be a
sir.
princess.
A shesa.
Eshegoni.
So,
Eshegoni.
Adupe, Adupe, princess,
Adupesa.
from Nigeria with love.
Yes, sir. Yes,
From
Amen.
sir.
Nigeria
Thank
to
you
Canada.
so much.
All right,
A
all
Say
cool,
that
right,
again.
a cool weekend, sir.
all right.
Yeah,
So,
every weekend. Thank you so much, Prof. God bless you. We're very,
yeah,
very grateful, and it's a privilege to have you for a whole hour talking to us about even me from Nigeria. I just learned so much things from the Yoruba culture through you today, and we just pray that God will protect and preserve
Amen.
our culture and begin to throw more light into the history so that our children will be able to have something to go back to. We don't want history to be lost when we are gone. So, with things like you are doing, we pray that many more people will come alongside with you to start promoting the history, the culture. Because I believe, like you said earlier, when we reconnect with our culture, a lot of the crime, a lot of the hate, a lot of the troubles around the world will be lost. Just like the Yoruba culture, you can't take what does not belong to you. If you don't take your neighbor's property, why will you want to kill your neighbor? You know, problems start from there. So if we begin to reconnect with our culture, a lot of these troubles will be eliminated naturally. Naturally. So it is important that we keep our history alive so that we the old and the young will continue to learn and go back and reconnect with our history. Thank you so much, sir. Have a wonderful
Thank
night,
you so
and
much.
we hope to see you again soon.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Have a
Uh,
good night.
That was profound, if you ask me. Yeah, I love
I
it.
feel
I
like
love it.
dancing. I
I
feel
know.
like dancing a cultural dance.
Right
I'm
now,
just in. I'm high on culture today. Oh my God, I am so
also,
blown away.
there was something he said. He said, if we get it right, there will be no need to going back to no. How did he say it? If we get it right, we would not need the white man's culture. He didn't. I'm just paraphrasing to come and teach us the way of life. So I really think history. I'm very intrigued when I begin to hear, about culture. I love it. I don't know why I didn't go
This
in
is
that
very
line.
impactful. Very
Yeah,
impactful.
I would replay
I'm
the
just
video
so
again.
energized. About.
Yeah, I'm going to replay this video. There was something very interesting from a guest here. Tushar said she is deaf. Now that brings me back to us growing into having an interpreter.
Yeah,
Interpreter.
son.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
really sorry, Tushar. I don't do sign language, but with time, the Queen Amina show would be
We
able
will
to
get there.
like that,
Yes.
where we can bring interpreters on air. There are robotic interpreters now too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're speaking, and the robot thing is there twiddling the hands and doing that. So hopefully we
And
get
then
to.
I'm sure that we had it was being transcribed. I see this, we have the transcription going on simultaneously with the show.
Oh,
So
okay.
he or she, must
Can
have seen
read.
that. Yeah.
Okay, that's
We had
perfect.
the subtitle was going on while the show was going on.
Ah, okay, I didn't notice that. That's perfect. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining the Queen Amina show today. Tomorrow, Thursday, no, Friday and Saturday will be off air, and we're coming back with our Church Without Borders with Pastor, I think Pastor Ogwazi on Sunday. Yeah, so guys, tune in, bring in your biblical questions. We're going to be answering them as much as the Holy Spirit helps us. On Monday, we're back to More Monday with Dr. Marlene Morris. Last Monday was super exciting. And Tuesday, we would see what our princess have for us. We don't know, we haven't done the giveaway, so maybe one more Tuesday. Let's just focus on debriefing and then the giveaway. I don't know what you'd say to that,
We'll see. We'll see on Tuesday. That will be our surprise. Yes.
All right. So those of us in Canada, enjoy Canada Day on Monday. This weekend is a long weekend in Canada, so make sure you're staying safe, keep social distancing, and yeah, there's something out there. So don't. I think he said, Professor said, the fear of coronavirus is the beginning of wisdom. So yeah, like keep it on. Yeah, keep it on. That's fantastic. I need one. Please mail one to me.
People, please
Put it on.
It saves us a whole lot of trouble.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, keep it on, keep your mask on, keep the social distancing. Thank you, Dr. Princess. And we'll see you guys on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, keep loving, keep laughing, keep smiling.
Cool everything.
Cool everything.
A cool weekend, a cool enjoyment, a cool Canada Day.
Cool speaking. Cool throwing your hands in the air.
Cool masking.
Cool masking. Cool dancing the cultural dance.
Cool social distancing.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you next week.